constant, suffocating feeling that you were losing control of your own life, that no matter how hard you tried, it wasn't enough, that you were slowly becoming someone you didn't recognize. And deep down, you knew something had to change. You just didn't know how. You weren't always like this. There was a time when your life, as ordinary as it was, still felt manageable, not exciting, not impressive, not something you would ever brag about, but it made sense. You knew where you were going every morning, and even if you didn't like it, you knew where you would end up at night. That kind of certainty, as boring as it sounds, was something you never realized you would one day miss. Your apartment wasn't much, a small, slightly worn-out space that carried the smell of cheap paint and old furniture. The walls had marks you never bothered to clean, and the lights flickered sometimes if you turned them on too quickly. But it was yours. A place where you could shut the door and pretend the rest of the world didn't exist for a while, a place where silence didn't feel heavy, yet. Back then, your life followed a simple loop. You woke up early, often before the alarm even rang, not because you were motivated, but because your mind never really rested. You would get ready half asleep, staring at yourself in the mirror without really seeing anything. Just another face, another day, another routine. Then you would leave for work, moving through the same streets, passing the same people, living the same moments again and again like nothing ever changed. Work was tolerable. Not good, not terrible, just something you had to do. Hours would pass, slowly, dragging you through tasks that meant nothing to you. You weren't building anything, you weren't chasing a dream. You were just maintaining survival. And for a long time, that felt enough, because survival at least meant you were still in control. But control is a fragile thing. It doesn't break all at once. It slips away, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize it's already gone. It started with small things, things you didn't take seriously at first. A bill you couldn't pay on time, a payment you delayed, telling yourself you'd handle it next week, a minor problem that didn't seem urgent enough to stress about. You brushed it off. People deal with this all the time, you thought. It's normal. But then another problem came, and another, and another. They didn't wait for you to fix the first one. They stacked. Quietly at first, then aggressively. Your table, once empty, except for a few random items, slowly turned into a collection of unpaid bills, notices and reminders. Each envelope carried the same weight, the same message, the same warning that things were starting to fall apart. At first, you kept track of everything. You knew which bill was due, which one you could delay, which one needed immediate attention. But as the pile grew, something changed. It stopped feeling manageable. It stopped feeling like something you could organize your way out of. It started feeling like pressure, real pressure, the kind that sits on your chest when you're trying to sleep, the kind that follows you into work, into conversations, into every quiet moment where your mind has nothing else to focus on. It doesn't shout, it doesn't panic, it just stays there. Constant, reminding you that you're running out of time. Your phone became part of that pressure. Every vibration, every unknown number, every missed call added to it. You started recognizing the patterns. You didn't even need to answer anymore to know what it was about. The tone, the timing, the repetition, it all became familiar. Final notice. Payment overdue. Legal action may be taken. Different voices, same message. Cold, direct, and completely uninterested in your situation. At some point, you stopped answering, not because you didn't care, but because you couldn't handle hearing it again. You would look at the screen, watch it ring, and wait for it to stop, as if ignoring it would somehow delay reality. But reality doesn't wait. You tried to fix it. You really did. You pushed yourself harder than before. You stayed longer at work, took extra shifts whenever they were available, said yes to things you normally would have refused. You took on side jobs that drained whatever energy you had left, work after work after work, just to stay afloat. And still, it wasn't enough. You started cutting back on everything. Food, comfort, anything that wasn't necessary. You sold things you once cared about. Items that had meaning. Items you never thought you would let go of. But meaning doesn't matter when survival is on the line, and when that still didn't fix it, you borrowed money. At first, it felt like relief. A temporary solution, a way to breathe again. But borrowed money isn't freedom. It's just delayed pressure. And when it comes back heavier. Weeks turned into months, and instead of getting better, things got worse. No matter what you did, you kept falling behind. And the worst part wasn't the money, it was the feeling. That constant, suffocating feeling that you were losing control of your own life. That no matter how hard you tried, wasn't enough. That you were slowly becoming someone you didn't recognize. And deep down, you knew something had to change. You just didn't know how. It was one of those nights where everything feels heavier than it should. The kind of night where even the air feels slow, like it's dragging along with you. You were walking home, your steps slightly uneven, not because you were tired physically, but because your mind wouldn't stop. The same thoughts kept circling again and again, refusing to let you breathe. You kept asking yourself the same question you had been asking for weeks now. What now? What do you do next when nothing you've tried has worked? The street was quiet. Not empty, but distant. A few cars passed by, their lights stretching across the road before disappearing into the dark. Shops were closing, people were heading home, and everything felt like it was moving forward. Except you. You felt stuck. Completely stuck. That's when you noticed the car. At first, it didn't seem important, just another vehicle on the road. But then it slowed down, not abruptly, but intentionally. It matched your pace. That's when something inside you shifted. A small instinct, a quiet warning. You kept walking, trying to ignore it, telling yourself it was nothing. But then it stayed, right beside you. The window rolled down slowly, and without realizing it, you stopped. Inside the car sat a man, calm, still, watching you in a way that didn't feel normal. It wasn't curiosity, it wasn't interest, it was something else. Something controlled, something that felt like he wasn't seeing you for the first time, but had already been observing you for a while. You need money. He didn't ask, he stated it. Your body froze for a moment, but your mind reacted instantly. Questions started hitting you all at once. Who is this? How does he know? Why is he talking to you? Everything about this felt wrong. You should leave. You should walk away. You should pretend you didn't hear him. But you didn't move, because he wasn't wrong. That one sentence hit something deeper than you expected. It wasn't just about money. It was about everything that came with it. The pressure, the fear, the constant feeling of falling behind. I can help you, he said, his voice calm, almost too calm. No urgency, no effort to convince you, just certainty, like he already knew how this was going to end. He reached over and held out an envelope. For a second, you didn't take it. Your hand stayed where it was, frozen between instinct and curiosity. But then, slowly, almost automatically, you reached forward and grabbed it. The moment it touched your hand, you felt it. The weight. Not just physical, but something else. Something heavier. You opened it slightly. Cash. Stacks of it. Real. Your breathing changed. You didn't even realize it, but your chest tightened and your heartbeat picked up speed. This wasn't a small amount. This wasn't something casual. This was life-changing. This is just the beginning, he said. You looked at him, your thoughts struggling to catch up. What do you want? You asked, your voice quieter than you expected. He smiled slightly, not friendly, not warm, just controlled. Nothing complicated, he replied. One small job, no questions, no details. That should have been enough to make you walk away. That should have been the moment where everything inside you told you to stop. But instead, you stayed. Then he leaned a little closer. Not enough to feel threatening, but enough to change the tone. "But once you say yes," he said slowly, "there's no going back." Silence followed. Not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that feels heavy. Like something important just happened, even if you don't fully understand it yet. You stood there with the envelope in your hand, your mind pulling you in two different directions. One side was loud, almost desperate. "This is wrong. This isn't normal. Walk away. Drop the money and leave before it's too late." But the other side was quieter, more dangerous. It didn't panic, it didn't rush. It just reminded you of something simple. You don't have a choice. You thought about everything waiting for you. The bills, the calls, the pressure that never left your chest, the constant feeling of being one step away from losing everything. You imagined going home, putting the envelope down, and deciding not to take it. And then what? Waking up tomorrow to the same problems, the same fear, the same slow collapse, and suddenly, walking away didn't feel safe. It felt impossible. Taking the money didn't feel like a risk anymore. It felt like relief. You looked at the envelope one more time, then at the man. "I'll do it," you said. The moment those words left your mouth, something changed. You didn't see it. You didn't hear it. But you felt it. Like a door quietly closing behind you. The man smiled. Not like someone who just made a deal, like someone who just got exactly what he wanted. "Good," he said. And just like that, the car drove away. No explanation, no instructions, no details, just gone. Leaving you standing there, holding the envelope, and not fully understanding what you just agreed to. At first, nothing happened. No calls, no messages, no follow-up, and for a moment, you started to question it. Maybe it wasn't real, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe you misunderstood everything, but the money was real, and that was enough. You used it. At first, carefully, paying off the most urgent bills, clearing the pressure that had been building for months. One by one, the problem started disappearing. Calls stopped. Messages stopped. The silence that followed felt strange, but peaceful. For the first time in a long time, you could breathe. You slept better. Not perfectly, but better. You woke up without that heavy weight sitting on your chest. You started to feel something you hadn't felt in a while, relief. You told yourself it was just one job. That's it, a one-time decision, a temporary fix. You weren't going to get involved in anything deeper. You weren't that kind of person. But then your phone rang. Unknown number. You stared at it for a second, already knowing. "You did well," the voice said. Same voice. "Another job? More money, double this time." You hesitated, but not like before. This time, it was different, because now, you knew what that money could do. You knew what it felt like to not be drowning. And that feeling was addictive. So you said yes. And then again, and then again. Each time it became easier. The hesitation faded. The fear became quieter. The questions became less important. You stopped thinking about what you were doing and started focusing on what you were getting. And slowly, without realizing it, you started believing something dangerous, that you were in control. At first, you don't notice the change. It happens slowly, quietly. The jobs feel different, but not enough to scare you. Just a little more serious, a little more urgent. You ignore it. You tell yourself it's normal, but then the calls change. The voice isn't calm anymore. It's sharper, colder. You're not being asked. You're being told. Still, you continue, because every time you think about stopping, you remember what the money fixed. The relief, the silence, the feeling of finally breathing again. Then one night, you try to stop. You ignore the call. It rings again and again. You answer. "You're late." No greeting. "I'm done," you say. Silence. Then, That's not how this works. Your chest tightens. I'm not doing this anymore. Pause. Then, we know where you live. Everything drops. We know who you care about. Silence. Heavy. You don't walk away. The call ends. And just like that, you understand. This was never a choice. By now, normal doesn't exist anymore. The fear doesn't shock you anymore. It stays quiet, constant. Then comes the final job. No details, just an address. You go because you have to. The place feels wrong the moment you arrive, too quiet, too controlled. And then everything shifts. Voices, movement, pressure. You realize it instantly. This isn't a job, it's a trap, and you're already inside it. Something breaks in you, not your body, your illusion. The idea that you were ever in control. And just like that, it's over. No closure, no escape. Just silence. Heavy silence. Now you understand you didn't fix your life, you traded it, piece by piece, until nothing was left. No control, no way back, just consequences. You thought you made a choice, but the moment you took the money, the choice made you.